All right, hello. Welcome to the live today. As you make your way in, go ahead and hit that. Not background videos playing. Oh my God, the drama. But yes, as you make your way to the live. Oh my God, there's just too much going on right now. Okay, pardon your girl. Okay, I'm getting rusty. I haven't been around in a bit, okay? So you're the girl here, okay? Hi, if you're coming in, my name is Priscilla. Welcome to my next location. Please pardon me as I get set up here. Forgive the background sounds, y'all. YouTube is just doing the most right now, so we're just trying to figure it out. But thank you so much for coming into the live. As you make your way in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. And also give the video a thumbs up and share your thoughts. Let me know if you can hear me as well. Please let me know if you can hear me. If my sound is great, drop a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. All right. Let me know if you can hear me. It sounded great. All right. So in today's video, I will be just giving a quick update, and then I did want to talk about preparing for flight training. And with okay, thanks, Sean. Thank you for letting me know that. I will be talking about flight attendant training and saving money prior to flight attendant training and post flight attendant training, because we got to talk about the money. Fine, the pay is good and all, but if you don't start off right, it's not gonna be good. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to get my hair. Now they're doing the most here. I'm getting way too comfortable. Okay, forget my hair. Okay, it's been a long day. Okay, I have not been on YouTube for a while. All the videos you've seen are already pre-recorded and scheduled to post already. So let me turn off the music real quick to make sure that you can all hear me so nothing interferes. Okay, so yes, like I said, I will be giving a quick update, and then also I'll be talking about flight attendant training and saving money, preparing for it, and preparing for it in the sense of saving money to get ready for it. Because as I said in the beginning, pay might be good and all, but if you don't set yourself up properly, you won't benefit from the advantage of the pay now being better than it was in the past. So that's the whole idea right now. So give me a quick second. Let me just try and fix something real quickly. All right, so you can hear me. All right, so let's start off with a quick update, okay? Hello, everyone. I miss you all so much. I miss you all so much. I have not been here in a minute. I have not been here in a minute. Hello, Sean. Hello, Yolanda. Hello, RJ. Yes, you can all hear me. All right. So, quick update. So, the reason why you all haven't seen me in a while, it's actually because I felt sick towards the end of January. Yes, I wasn't well towards the end of January, and it was kind of weird because I was actually in the middle of a rotation. So I started a 3-day trip. Let me check the dates. Yes, I started a 3-day trip somewhere in January, towards the end of January, and then while I was on that trip, okay, rewind. Before I actually started that trip, so it's like I did a 3-day trip, right? And then once I did that 3-day trip, I had one day off. But towards the end of that initial 3-day trip, I think it was Orlando, Tampa 3-day trip. And during that trip, or towards the end of that trip, I noticed that I felt a little itch in my throat, right? And typically, I rarely get sick, thank God. We're grateful for that. However, what I typically get is like a cold or like a sore throat once every quarter or once every 6 months. So like it's happened so often that like I know the routine now. So that's what I noticed. Like I felt the itch. So I thought it was just like a sore throat or cough or whatever, which is pretty standard. I get it. I don't take medication. I give my body the opportunity to fight it off and to build the system, the immune system, because we're not playing here. Okay, we're not trying to be dependent on any medication. But so I felt the itch, and then I had one day off. Then I started another 3 days. So when I started that other 3 day trip, that's when it got worse. So I got a fever at some point. It was crazy, y'all. Like I had never been that sick in a long time. So it was crazy. It was crazy. So I took some medicine and everything. But once I felt sick that seriously, that bad for the very first time in like years, it actually made me feel like I needed time off, like I needed to take a break. So that's what I did. So I took a break. And like I said, this happened between the 26th of January to the illness actually got really serious between the 28th, 29th, 30th. That's what, like literally throughout the 3 day trip that I was doing, I was sick. But I wasn't coughing or sneezing or anything. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, what is going on? But I survived it, and then I made it home. So because of that, I took a break for a while. So that's why you all haven't seen me. I did nothing social media related, like recording content anyway, for like a month. And today's what? Literally a month later. Like seriously, it got serious on the 28th of January, and literally today is 28th of February, and I'm back again. So I do miss you all. I know some of you have been commenting. I tried as much as possible to respond to the comments and everything, but I needed a break. Like I was like, no, I need to pay attention to what my body is telling me. And me being sick like this so seriously, and I haven't had that in the longest time, in like years, like 5, 6 years. So I figured this must be something. So I just need to take a break. So that's what happened. I am here, and yeah, here we are. And during that period of time, also as I took the break, I decided our company, or the company that I work for. If you're new here, I work with a U.S. airline, a major U.S. airline, and I am mainline, not regional. And our company has a savings program. It's a way to just nurture or cultivate the culture of savings, which is I'm talking about this specifically because it ties into what I will be talking about today, which is saving, preparing for flight attendant training with regards to saving money, how much to save, what to consider when you're trying to save, among other things. But I did participate in that program as well. And once you complete it, you get $1,000 essentially to kickstart your saving journey or whatever. So I did do that as well. We're always grateful for any money on the table. We do not leave any money on the table. Okay. That's a given. We don't leave any cash on the table. But as you make your way in, please go ahead and drop any questions that you may have for me with regards to flight attendant training, applying. Any questions with regards to that, let me know. If you want to know how my experience has been so far, like at this point, towards the end of 2023, I was 9 months in. Right now, we're in February. So I'm about 11 months in right now. So let me know if you have any questions as well. Also, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and tap on that subscribe button. I miss you all, though. I miss everybody. All right, so let's get into it. So, flight attendant training. One thing, what I will be talking about specifically would be saving money to cover you while you're in training, and then also saving money to cover you to at least, at a minimum, 2 months after training. Y'all, I say that because when you're in flight attendant training, some airlines don't pay you at all. Depending on which country you're in, some airlines actually require that you go to flight attendant training before you even apply to work with them. So you're investing money in going for training without even having a job yet. Thankfully, with my airline at least, you don't have to have gone to flight attendant school or training prior to applying to become a flight attendant. So that's the good part. However, if you live in the United States, we all know that these bills don't wait for you, regardless of what life changes you have going on, y'all. The bills do not wait. They are not as courteous as you might think they should be. So I will say that if you're planning on becoming a flight attendant, let's say you're sitting there right now, and today you decide to become a flight attendant, you're thinking of becoming a flight attendant, do not quit your job immediately. Do not quit your job, even if you get invited in. If you get the phone call or the virtual interview invitation, do not quit your job. Do not quit your job, even if you get invited to the event day. Please listen and let me know if you can hear me. Do not quit your job, even if you get your CJO. I'm going to repeat this again, y'all. I'm not playing. I'm serious here. I'm talking about money. Do not quit your job, even when you get an invitation for the virtual interview. Do not quit your job, even if, do not quit your job, even if you get invited to the CJO. Do not quit your job, even if, let me update my sound real quickly. I just want to make sure. Perfect. All right. So, yes, do not quit your job, even if you get invited for your CJO. Do not quit your job, even if you get your CJO. Like, don't quit your job. The only time and the safest period that you can quit your job if you want to leave what you're currently doing, or it's impossible for you to do what you're currently doing. And training is when you get a training date assigned. Let's say at the end of that, we have to be very strategic about it, y'all. Even when you get a training date assigned, do not quit. Be strategic when you're quitting. So let's say you get a training date assigned. How do I put it? I'm trying to see. Give me a quick second here, y'all. All right, so let's say you get a training date assigned. Today is February 28th. Let's say you get a training. Hello, Angeline. Let's say you get a training date assigned for March 28th, right? That's when your training date has been assigned. You got your CJ, you went through the process, you got your CJO and everything. It's stamped, it's sealed. You're going for training, you chose your training date and everything. Background check is complete. So there's nothing standing in your way except for the academic portion that I have to tell you does get people sent home. So like I said, until you graduate, there's still a guarantee that you're going to get on the line because you have to go through training as well. But the only sense of security, I will say, that should get you to potentially quit your job is when you get a training date assigned. Even with that, there's a caveat. If your training date assigned is March 28th, which means currently you're not an employee of the airline. Let's say we're talking about American Airline here, okay? You're not an employee of American Airline until the start of your training date. Or at least my airline. I can't speak for American. Let me talk about my airline because I don't know how theirs work. What I know is that my training date was March 13th of 2023. That was my hire date. So although you've gone through everything, background check, because typically with most jobs, when you get the offer, that's what it is. Like when you get an offer and you choose a start date, that is the same thing. Your start date is your training date. So if your training date is March 28th, that's your start date. So whatever 2 weeks notice you need to give at your current job so you can quit peacefully, because we're not about to leave our jobs without quitting peacefully, okay? We're not living that lifestyle, okay? It's too risky. It's too risky out there, especially when you don't know what's going to happen when you go for training. And like I said, you getting on the line is dependent on you passing training, and anything can happen with training. So don't be out here quitting jobs when you don't have your CJO yet or anything, okay? We're not going to be doing that. All right, so as I was saying, if your training date is set at March 28th, then what you should do is that you should give a 2 weeks notice from March 28th. So just because today is February 28th and you're getting a training date assigned that, hey, we like you, everything is good, CJO is received, your training date is March 28th, don't quit your job now. Quit 2 weeks from, put in a 2 weeks notice from the 28th. Even if you're going to quit or you're going to wait until the very last day, like the day before the 28th, if that's possible for you, do it that way, because you need to get as much money as possible. Flight attendant training does not pay. Whatever you're getting, my airline pays, but it's the minimum wage of Atlanta, of Georgia. I believe the minimum wage of Atlanta is the same as the minimum wage of Georgia, the state as a whole. So my minimum wage was not, the amount I was getting paid for training was not even up to the minimum wage of the city that I live in. So keep that in mind. So if you've watched my, I've done a video on flight attendant pay where I talk about training pay. I think my 1 year, my 10 months or my 2023 review of my pay, I spoke about what the hourly pay for flight attendant training was. And it was like about $7.30 or so. That was back then. Training was 6 weeks for me. Now it's 7 weeks. So the reason why I will be talking about the fact that you need to save money while you're in training is because whatever pay you're receiving, it's not going to be enough to cover your bills and also your expenses while you're in training. I lived in Washington State, so for training, I had to go all the way to Atlanta. Once I got to Atlanta, my feeding, everything was on me. Accommodation is covered. Transportation to and from the training center is covered. However, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, they do have a medical center that I believe that we do have access to as well, at least with my airline. It's big enough where they do have a medical center. So if you did fall sick or any reason, you could go there. And I believe the care is covered by the company. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what it is. So I'm not going to add that to your expenses. But getting stuff for training while you're preparing for training, you're going to need money for that. Your bills. So while I was in training, I had to pay my rent every single month. I had to pay my rent every single month. So regardless of what was going on or whether I had, what do you call it? Whether I don't know how to put this, whether I had money or not, I had to pay my rent or mortgage. You have to pay your phone bill. You have to pay your utilities, whatever is running. Obviously, you're not living there. So then it's not going to be a situation whereby you're having to, let's say, how do I put this? You're having to pay more on those things. Like I wasn't here. So if I wasn't using the water, my water bill would be lower. I wasn't here. So if I wasn't using power, but remember your refrigerator is on, whatever else that you have plugged in or you forgot or you left plugged in, if you live alone, it's still running. So that's also going to take power as well. But the whole point that I'm making is that you're going to have to buy stuff for training. I did not have all the white shirts. I did not have all the white shirts that I needed in order to go for training. So I had to buy extra. That was an expense. If you don't have a luggage to take to training, you're going to have to buy that because you're going to have to pack your things to go. And then also, like, there are little things that you're going to have to start buying that will cost money. So for me, using me as an example, by the time I decided to apply to become a flight attendant, I had already saved money, right? I already had my emergency savings account, already saved money. I also had like a personal savings with money in it or whatever. So before I went for training, I had about $10,000 saved that I could use. Okay. So I had $10,000 sitting there that I could use during that time that I had to go for training, right? So because I had $10,000 sitting there, I knew my rent was covered. I knew whatever personal expenses I had was covered. I didn't have to worry about those things because I had $10,000 saved. However, everybody's situation is different. When you're thinking of what to save for, think about, because I'm saying you need to have at least 2 months of money saved. And then after, even when you're done with training is 7 weeks now. So let's assume that training is 2 weeks. 2 months, I mean, so it's 8 weeks. And then I said at least 2 months after training. That's also 2 months. So that's what, 4 months right there. So essentially, whatever savings plan you want to have for yourself, it should be enough to cover all your expenses, including the things you're going to have to buy for training and everything, for at least 4 months. The question you should ask yourself is, do you have that amount of money saved? It might seem a lot, it might seem too much, but as I said in the beginning of this live, my airline fortunately pays high right now. Like the hourly pay is a lot. However, and you can potentially earn a lot of money doing what I do with the airline company that I work for. However, you can only benefit from that if you start off right. Your foundation needs to be strong. If you're already starting off with credit card debt of about $20,000, so you have that bill that you're paying every month, you probably have a car note, you have a mortgage or a rent that you're late in because you went for training and you weren't able to cover, all that is going to impact your experience as a whole. So think about that. So already you need money to cover all your expenses that you currently know you have in your life for 4 months. Aside from all the other stuff you're going to be doing while you're in training. Fine, my airline paid minimum wage, but
honestly, that money was only as good as covering my feeding for the time I spent there. That was what that was for. Anything else outside that, it had to come out of pocket. Whatever I was earning during that period was not enough. Some people are fortunate to be able to work remotely. So if you can balance working or getting another job that pays you while you're in training, that's fine. But from my experience, maybe it was just me being lazy, but the way the training was set up, it was so cumbersome that you did not even have time to do anything else, y'all. You did not have any time to do anything else. So it becomes unrealistic to think that you can do another job while you are in training. Okay. So that's the first part. So in terms of what's the reason, my reason for saying that you should, secondly, my reason for saying that you should save money for at least 2 months after training is because once you get out of training, your pay is going to be a little bit messed up, right? First of all, you're not even strong enough to figure out your scheduling. And for me, based on when I graduated, my first month schedule was not bid by me. Like I didn't choose or I didn't request for what I wanted on my first month schedule. It was automatically done because by the time I got out of training, it was too late for me to bid or request for what I wanted on my schedule. So I didn't have control over my first month. And by second month also, even in my first month, you're trying to adjust the flying. I was trying to adjust the flying, adapt, trying to figure out what works for me, how many flights I want to do a day in a rotation or in a trip. Can I do more than one flight a day? Can I do more than 2 flights a day? Mind you can request for all these things, but literally in my first month, I couldn't. So by the end of the first month, going into my second month, what I knew for certain was that I did not want to work multiple legs a day, multiple flights a day in a 3-day rotation or a 2-day rotation. The maximum I wanted to do was 1 or 2. So that would also impact the credit power of your trip, which in turns impacts the income that you can make. So the reason why I'm saying that, this is the reason why I'm saying that you should have at least money saved for after training, at least 2 months after training, because during that period, you're trying to figure out and adapt to flying. You're trying to figure out what works for you. So your focus during that moment will not be on money. It will be you adapting and actually literally surviving this job. Because it's a huge lifestyle change. When people say that, I know it sounds so dramatic, but it is true. You're flying at different altitudes, the takeoff and landing, the pressure change. If you put a bottle on an aircraft, as it takes off, it literally what you call it, there's pressure absorption. As it's landing, all that pressure just leaves. So the bottle gets bigger as you're taking off or once you're in air, and then as you land, it shrinks, like it contracts. So that's all these things, your body is going through it. That's why when your ears are blocked and we're landing, you feel that if your ears are blocked or you don't pop your ears, you feel that pressure in your head, in your neck. All that pressure you're feeling is the pressure trying to come out, but there's no outlet because your ears are blocked. So that being said, if you have a cold or anything and your ears are blocked, please do not fly. Please do not fly. You would damage your eardrums, by the way. But that's just a side note. I'm going off course right now. But the point I'm making is that it took me at least 2 months to figure out what kind of trips I could work, how many flights I wanted to do in a day, and even how to bid at a minimum what I wanted, which were high credit. So that's why I say you need at least 2 months of money sitting there to cover your expenses during that period, because while you're figuring all these things out, it's going to impact the kind of trips you can do. And then you might not be earning as much as you want to do because you haven't strategically figured out how to make it work for you. So that's where that comes in. All right, so let me refer to the chats a bit just to see who is in house right now, who's watching me right now. Thank you all for coming through. I know this is kind of impromptu and everything, but I missed you all, okay? I missed you all. I took a break for about a month, literally a month from today. That's when I felt sick, and then I was like, you know what? No, pause, time out. Your girl needs a break, and I took a break. So that's what happened. I have Angeline here. Hi, Angeline. Nice to meet you. You're my fave too. I miss you all. I believe this is a timestamp for when I started talking about what actually applies to this video. So thank you, the one and only SK. Please, if you're looking for all the nitty gritty information, that's, I believe, the timestamp for it. Also, oh no, unless it was a minimum wage. Maybe it was a minimum wage. I'm not sure, but let me know what you meant by that. The one and only SK. And then Angeline, once again, I want to work with your airline, but I'm still 18. Yes, unfortunately, with my airline, you need to be at least 21 and above to apply to work, because I believe we do serve alcohol. And in the United States, you have to be 21 and above. So yes, that's the age requirement right now. But keep looking, Angeline. It might change. You never know. All right, so we have podcast BB on the rocks. Hello, BB. She says, hello, I'm a big fan of your channel. Greets from Germany. Oh, hey, BB. I need to come to Germany. We do fly to Germany too. My airline flies to Germany, so I need to come to Germany. Okay, we need to connect. We need to connect. Let me know. Send me a DM. Let's chat in the DMs. Vivian Rock says, thanks for all your information. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you guys find it useful, because I feel like a lot of the times, most people do not know this, and then they end up saying, oh, I want to become a flight attendant. I want to become a flight attendant. They become a flight attendant, but they're not set up for success. So I'm just here to share my experience and what I did and what worked for me and made me comfortable, in the sense that ever since I started this job, I've never had to worry about money, or I've never had to worry about whether I'm going to be able to pay my bill or not, because I stress out over everything. So even if I have like $5,000 sitting there, that is good enough to cover my bills for a certain period. I'm still going to stress, because what I'm thinking about in the moment is, what if I ran out of that 5,000 or whatever? So that's just me. That's a personal thing. But I feel like to take advantage of the whole experience and to be able to actually enjoy the experience, you have to be ready. And being ready, part of being ready is making sure your money is good, because your bills aren't going to wait for you. All right. So things to consider. So when I say save money when you're preparing for training, and then also after training, make sure you have enough money to cover your expenses and stuff like that. In terms of ways to get that money, it depends. So if you have a 401k at your old job that you do want to dissolve, you can do that. But I will say, don't just transfer it. If you can transfer, do the transfer and connect with this new job if you're going to sign up for it. Also, if you had like vacation time, I had vacation time. So I can't, once you leave the company, because you earned it, my company paid me out for that as well. So that's a good way to get some extra money as well. But take advantage of while you're working. So like I said, I was able to quit immediately. I made the decision. But if you decide today and you know you don't have the savings, sorry. All right, thanks. Thanks, the one and only SK. So the 725 was the minimum wage. Okay, good. I figured once I said it and thought about it, I was like, okay, I think that's what that was for. Okay, yeah. So that's the minimum wage of Atlanta, y'all. Or for Georgia as a whole, and Atlanta uses the minimum wage of Georgia. The reason why I say Georgia is because I think I spoke to somebody who lived there, and she was telling me that's the reason why it's so low. It's because it's for the entire state and not the city. Because here in Washington, I believe Seattle has a different minimum wage compared to other surrounding cities or the state as a whole, because of the cost of living in Seattle specifically. So I figured that Atlanta having a higher cost of living, it might be the same thing, but maybe not for that state. So it is what it is. But like I was saying, is that having that money helps you out. So things, your vacation, if you get paid out for that, that can work as well. If you're working, I know the dream is good. We want to travel the world. But when you see videos or shorts or TikTok videos where people are saying that you would find a flight attendant who is probably in Germany right now, or in Amsterdam, or is in Lisbon somewhere, sipping on some coffee, or literally, or probably stuck in their hotel room because they only have like $10 to their name or $7 to their name. This is the reason why. And when people say that the pay is bad, the pay differs. And I've done a video on this. If you want to know what the pay is, at least with my airline, I do have a full playlist in the description box below. Please check it out. But even if I use my airline as an example, people are still struggling, even though the hourly pay sounds good. So for my airline, the hourly pay for a new flight attendant is $33.81. Yes, that's the first year. Unless you've been with the company previously for a certain number of years, and then your pay would be different. It would be made to match in a certain way based on the fact that you've been with the company for a while. But if you're new to the company as a whole, now coming in, flight attendant, your pay rate right now will be starting at $33.81. We are scheduled for an increase, but we haven't heard anything yet. But as of this video, when I recorded this video or this live, it's 33.81. So with that being said, 33.81 is good. Like if you're right now, if you're working at a company and your hourly pay is 33.81, this does not even include your layover pay. You're getting paid while you're in layovers in these countries, or any additional positions you might take, like flight lead or purser or whatever. And then also, well, you don't even qualify for purser, so that doesn't even matter. Or any sales made, or any additional bonus pays because you're working during the summer, or maybe there's a situation, operational needs, so you're getting paid extra or whatever. This does not include all of those things. This is just your basic hourly pay, which is pretty good, you know, especially if you're just coming right out of college. But the issue is that when you go for training, 6 weeks of your life, or in this case, 7 weeks of your time, is being taken, and you're not getting paid that amount. That's where the issue starts. So you're in training, you're not getting paid your 33.81. Trust me, if we were all getting paid our 33.81, 40 hours a week while we were in training, it would have been great, because it's like you're literally earning income. You're getting paid 40 hours a week, 160 hours every 2 weeks at an hourly rate of 33.81. Do the math. That would have been good. But the issue is that's not what you're getting. You're not even getting 50% of your hourly pay while you're in training. Some even don't pay you at all. So you're already starting off in negative. And now you're going to work. You probably have to commute. So you probably have to get a crash pass. So you're already in a negative for 7 weeks. Then you have to get a crash pad, which you have to pay for. You still have rent to pay at where you live. You still have to feed. You still have phone bill. You still have a car note. You still have insurance. So you have all these bills piling up while you're in training. You get out of training, even before you can start getting that hourly pay that is worthwhile, you're already in a negative. So now you're forced to play catch up, which is a dangerous position to be, especially in this country, especially if you don't have any support from anywhere. So think about it. That's why I'm doing this live, because I feel like most people start off in the negative, they start off in a bad position, and then they end up being screwed along the line because they did not start off right to begin with. So you're already owing. You already have a negative. You already have debt waiting for you. So whatever you're earning now, you're trying to play catch up. And the first few months, you're adjusting and adapting, so you can't really do much. So then that slows you down, and then the frustration sets in, and you're forced to work more, and then that frustrates you, and then you get irritated, and then you don't enjoy the job anymore, and then you think it sucks, then you end up quitting. And that's why sometimes it's a high turnover. Aside from the fact that people think that because they work with an airline, that automatically they're going to fly to these beautiful places, which is not automatic, because seniority plays a huge role. If you're not senior enough to get these trips, you might not get it. If a senior person does not post for pickup, you might not get it. But beyond that, money for me, I think, is a huge factor. So my advice to everybody would be, it's beautiful. Like, trust me, I have never had a job with this level of flexibility. Like, ever since I moved here around 6-7 years ago, y'all. And I've worked with several companies. I've worked with JP Morgan Chase. I've worked with Wells Fargo. I worked with Money Tree at some point. Then I worked with Amazon. That was the last visit I used to work with. So I've worked with major corporations and all that. It's cute. On paper, it looks good. And to grow, to get to the point where I became a manager at Amazon, like, that was the whole transition that I had, which is beautiful. The resume looks nice. However, the stress and the inflexibility that I had, like, it was not flexible at all working with at these places. I think Amazon, I had a little bit of flexibility because I was a manager, but then it was just too much for no reason. Like, I'm somebody who cares. So if you care too much, then you won't survive in corporate America. Like, if you care, then you're in the wrong place. You should probably be somewhere else, you know? So having worked with all these companies and getting this job, fine, we say that it's easy, but our job is easy because the primary reason why we're on that aircraft is something that doesn't happen often. We all saw what happened with the Japan airline situation when they had the crash at the airport, right? That was the job. Like, Everything that you learn in training, everything that this job is about, that moment on that tarmac when the accident happened, that was the job. That was what you were paid. All that money you were getting paid for, that was that's the job. It's just that what we're getting paid for primarily doesn't happen often. However, an emergency or an accident is an accident because you're not expecting it to happen every single day. It's not the day to day, it's not the norm. But if you look at what happened with that airline and that crash that happened, that is the job. That is what training prepares you for. So the reason why we say that the job is easy is because that being the job, it doesn't happen often. It's like firefighters. Unless it's a fire, they're just there waiting for that moment where they get the call that, hey, there's something going down, you know? So think about it that way. So they have to get compensated well, because once the job happens or once it's time to do the job, your life is at risk. Other people's life is at risk. Like a lot is at risk at within a short period of time. So that's why compensation needs to be great. Honestly, it could be better, but that's an argument for another day. But if you're listening to me, that's the reason why people would say the job is easy, because for the most part, these things don't happen on a day to day. So because they don't happen on a day to day, for the most part, once if it's business as usual, then this job is not hard. Plus, it's very flexible. Like I was saying, I've never had a job with this level of flexibility. Once I got sick on the 28th of February, or I noticed that I was getting sick on the 28th of February, I took a break. I was able to get somebody to pick up my trip. I was able to request for the trip to be dropped. I did not even have to use a sick time or time off or anything. I had more options in terms of getting off of work compared to somebody who has a typical 9 to 5, who essentially is at the mercy of using their sick time, or you get a manager who is difficult, who still wants you to show up even though you're sick because they don't care about you. They only care about the numbers, you know? So with this, you have more options in getting days off. Like you can literally, if you're strategic enough, you can literally put yourself in a position where you get an entire month off without using any sick time or any paid time off. Fine, if you do want to get paid, you're going to need to use those things. But assuming you're good, let's say you're married, you have a partner whose income is enough to cover your household expenses or whatever, and you just need a month off because you have kids, you have something you want to do, you can do that. Most 9 to 5s don't give you that opportunity unless you're using a vacation time. And vacation time, when I was working at the bank, my vacation time first year was 2 weeks. That was all I had for the first year. And then it increases, or you get more as you spend more time with the company. But that's the level of flexibility that this job offers. So it's great. It's amazing. I am enjoying it. I'm okay. I'm good. It's peachy here, okay? However, you have to start off correctly. You have to start off correctly. Your foundation needs to be strong. All right, let me check the chats real quickly. RJ says, yes, going into training, you need a nest egg for sure, or you have to be very resourceful. That's very true. And I feel like most people jump in, and then once they jump in, which is one of the inspirations, or which is one of the things that inspired me to start this channel, was because while I was going through the training, fine, there are a lot of content about the whole training experience and everything. But with the way the process works, it's a lot. So sometimes when people are going through it and they're working at the same time trying to do this or try and get the position to become a flight attendant so they can quit their other job, it's hard for them to document things and share their experience because they already have so much going on. So for me, knowing that I took time off of work even before I decided to apply, I was in a good position to share my experience in a calm, smooth way. And I made sure to document everything from start to finish to give you a realistic perspective, because it's pretty. I want to become a flight attendant to travel the world. That's nice. But you have to be realistic as well. You have to set yourself up for success, or it would be a hell of a run for you. And if you do survive it, you would be beat down and beat up, because it's like, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just trying to be real here. Like, I've seen and I've heard way too many people stressing out over money simply because they're flight attendants. And it creates the notion out there that, oh, we're broke, we don't have money or whatever. Like, for the most part, when I'm doing my calculation in terms of the money that I have, of course I don't live alone, but when I'm working, I make sure that whatever income that I'm getting in is good enough to cover all my expenses with no help. That's another way to think about it, especially if you're not married or you live with family, but you're not paying in a lot of bills and stuff like that. Whatever you do or whatever work you do, make sure the amount of income you're earning or the amount of money you're getting in is enough to cover any expenses that you have if it comes to it. So whether somebody's helping you pay bill A, bill B, ensure that whatever money you're making or whatever expense you're getting in is enough to cover you, regardless of whether you're getting that assistance or not. If you have that mindset, it helps you with saving and making sure you have money, and it would help you save a lot of money in the long run. And then making sure you're resourceful and having money is because it will make this experience bad. Like the people that say flight attendants are broke, they're not lying. Like they are not lying. It's the truth. There are people that don't have money, especially in your first year. It's a struggle. But with my experience, because I know it's a struggle, people, even the people that say they're not broke per se always would add that, especially in your first year. However, I didn't have that experience. And one thing that I noticed that I did differently was that I didn't have any debt. I did not have any debt. My car was already paid for. I bought my car cash outright. And because I noticed that the habit of, if you want to live, fine, having debt is not necessarily a bad thing, depending on what kind of debt you have. But one thing I did not want to have debt in is a car. I did not want to have debt in a car because it depreciates. It doesn't add value. Like owning a car does not give me any form of equity. So why would I have debt in a vehicle that loses value every single second, to the extent that you might get to the point where the value of the car right now is not even enough to cover the total debt that you have on the car? That's just insane to me. So I didn't have any debt, no credit card debt. Whatever I spent my credit card with, I made sure I paid it off outright. So I didn't have any credit card debt. And then also, like I said, I had a savings. So that was a cushion for me to pay for my bills without me worrying about how I'm going to pay this bill, how I'm going to do this. So when you set yourself up that way, it makes it easy. That was a thing that I did differently that I feel set me up for success. I spent within my means. I wasn't over here overspending or spending outside of what I was earning. I was spending within my means. The other thing also was that I did not commute. I lived at base, which plays a huge role as well. Because if you have to commute, your flight time, you can't even meal prep as much as you want to. You have to get a crash pad. So you're paying rent where you live, and then you're also paying for a crash pad. Even if eventually you have to move to where you're based, moving is not cheap. I had to move from one city to the other, and it was not cheap. It was not cheap at all. Getting a new place, rent down payment. Some places you have to give first month's rent and last month's rent, security deposit. That's all money. When I was moving from one city to the other, between my deposit and my fees and everything that I have to pay, and my first month's rent and everything, that added up to about $5,000 right there. Do you have $5,000 sitting there wait for just that purpose? So fine, you might want to move to base, but that's going to happen over time. But in the meantime, you're probably going to have to commute. You have to buy food out. So you might end up eating out more than you would have if you did not have to commute. I didn't have to commute. So all I had to do was to live life per usual, go to do my grocery shopping per usual. Whatever rent I was paying in the past was the same thing I was paying. I wasn't paying additional crash pad rent or whatever. And I was just living life like I was having a 9-to-5 job. If it's time to go for a trip, I meal prep, I go. I don't eat anything. I don't buy any food outside, and I'm good to go. Sometimes there are days when I work my trips and I never spend even $1, except for me driving to work. That's how impactful meal prepping can be. There have been moments where I have worked, several moments where I have worked 3-day, 2-day trips, 3-day trips, and I never spent $1, a cent on any food outside because I meal prepped. So that's how impactful meal prepping can be. So think about that. So RJ, I agree with you on that. The next point is from BB on the rocks. To become a flight attendant, I need to be a U.S. citizen there. Here in Germany, Daddy D is offering only check-in jobs at the airport. So I have applied for the green card and now waiting. Yes. So you don't necessarily have to be a U.S. citizen, but you should have permanent resident in the U.S. to become a flight attendant because it's a United-based airline. But I will say that in the meantime, if you can get the opportunity to do other positions, like you said, like the check-in jobs, and you feel you can do that, you can do that as well. Because I know people that were like gate agents and stuff like that. And because they were gate agents or they were with the company for so long, when they became flight attendants, their pay scale did not start from level 1. It started from somewhere else. So I don't know how many years you have to put in to be able to do that, but they do some sort of adjustment so that your pay scale does not start from like the bottom of year 1, where it starts from somewhere else. So it has its advantages, but definitely do the process, do whatever you can if you really want to work with that airline. But one thing I will say is that I love my airline for the benefits that it offers me, but I would also encourage you to check with other airlines as well, because sometimes you might want to work with one airline for one reason, but if you do proper research, you would notice that you might find an airline that actually benefits you more compared to another. Like for me, at some point, I almost worked with Emirates Airline, and the reason why I wanted to work with them was because of whatever package they were offering. However, because once I moved to the United States, I was like, no, I am a US citizen. I live here. Why not just work with the United States airline? And in choosing the airline, I chose an airline that serviced my home country, which was Ghana. So that way I know that if for whatever reason I needed to go home, fine, I can fly with other airlines because of the partnership that my airline has. However, if I want a direct flight on our metal, our airplane, then I know I have that option as well. So figure out what's in it for you, because with the way this shop is set up, a lot of your time will be taken and you won't be compensated. I would say you will not be compensated at all, but you won't be compensated appropriately for it or as you should. So the least you can do is to figure out a benefit out of it for you and take advantage of it. For me, I know right now, if I want to go to Accra, Ghana and go see my mom, all I need to do is to get to JFK Airport and get on the next flight to Accra. Okay. I can do that. So that is a huge benefit for me. And that was a deal breaker for me. So immediately I noticed that I was like, no, okay, I'm not going to go with any international airlines. Although these international airlines look really good right now because they do fly a lot of international destinations. And even though seniority might play a role, in general, everybody has access to those kind of flying. So it makes it, your chances of you flying international is like automatically guaranteed in a way compared to a US based airline where we do domestic and international. So then there's an issue of when you get what and how you can get what. But definitely keep trying, and then also keep exploring your options as well. Don't limit yourself at all. BB on the rocks, do not limit yourself at all, because you might think you want this one, but you look into certain things and you notice that, oh, this option can actually be much better. So definitely consider that. Hey, Holly, let's see. Holly says, I love your channel. I used to be regional, had to leave because of lack of support system for my daughter. You need a good support system to be a mom and flying. Yes, it is very, very true, Holly. Although the schedule is flexible, especially if you're a mom and you don't have any support, bills got to get paid, So then you have to choose between working and being away from your kid and making the money to pay the bills to support your kid, or not working enough and not being able to pay your bills. And that, so you can't choose in a situation like that. So having a good support system would help. And then when I'm talking about saving money as well, sometimes maybe you don't have all the money saved to be able to go or to support your expenses or whatever. But if, like she said, or Holly said, if you have support, people to support you, to cover you when the need calls for, then that works out too, because you have that support. So it's very, very important. Like, I can't stress this enough. It's nice and all. Trust me, I'm enjoying this. Like I said, I chose this job or this career because of the flexibility that it offered. But then again, if I wasn't earning enough to support myself, then was it really worth it? So even though you want to do all these things, think about it from that perspective as well. Once again, if you all have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. If you have any thoughts to share, go ahead and do that. And if you have any comments or any questions that you want to ask, please do. I know you people do put your comments down in the comment section. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, also go ahead and tap on that subscribe button. That's the only way you can support this channel, and like the video and leave a comment. All right. So since we are talking about money, I do want to refer to this comment here. Today is the day. I have not been here in a minute. Okay. So today grab your popcorn, grab your drink, and let's chat. Okay, this is gonna be a long live. I want to spend as much time here as possible just to give as much insight as possible. And I know it is early, depending on where you are. So I also want to be here for a long period of time, just to give more people the opportunity to come in, and then to also give you time to think about your questions or whatever. So let me know. But your girl is back. I do want to start traveling. Like I said in my 2023 review, I have a savings goal that I do want to hit as well. So once I hit that goal, that's when I'll try and start creating more vlogs and stuff like that. I do want to start creating more vlog content for this channel to share more of my travel experience. If you can't be there with me, at least you can watch me experience it. Okay, and I'm going to share it with you all. But another thing that I do want to say before I go into this comment is that most people come into this job also with the wrong intentions or the wrong expectations. Let's talk about that. Fine. When I applied for this job, I knew that I was at a point in my life where I wanted to travel home more often or have that option to be able to do so at ease. 2, I wanted a job that was very flexible, a job that offered me the flexibility that no job has ever offered me. And then 3, travel benefits, obviously. I wanted to travel the world, so I wanted the options to be able to do so at a very minimal cost or no cost at all. And then the 4th thing was, if I'm going to do all these things, I might as well be at a place where the pay they're giving me is high. So at the time when I applied, or I was trying to apply to become a flight attendant, the only airline that offered a higher pay that made sense to me compared to what I was making for my previous job was where I'm working now, my airline. So that's how I came to my decision, right? But at the end of the day, my primary intent was not necessarily about the money or the travel benefit, right? Or me being able to travel the world. For me, the only thing was if I was able to go home and I knew that airline flew to where my primary resident was, which was, I'm from Ghana, so where my family was, that was good enough. And then also flexible job, something that was flexible, something that I could choose whether I wanted to work more or less. I really wanted that because all the other jobs that I had, I didn't have a choice. It's either you're showing up or you're not showing up. That's how you get people at these jobs that are bitter, angry, and frustrated. With this job, if I work a 3-day trip and I work another 3-day trip and I notice that your girl is getting feisty, the energy is not where it needs to be, I took a break from work. I take time off because my schedule is not overloaded. I pick up trip as I go. Even if my schedule is overloaded, I can try and get somebody to pick up that trip because people are looking for work to do. I can post it for drop. So there's so many options, even before I get to the point of calling out. So that's the reason why for me. And I knew that, okay, this is what they're telling me. I went for my event day or my face-to-face. They told me they're not going to be paying me the $33.81 during training. So that's established. So for 6 weeks that I was in training, for my 6 weeks training, I knew for sure I won't be getting the $33.81. So my income for that 6 weeks is going to be nothing to write home about. So when you go for that event day and they're giving you that presentation, pay attention to the money. Because if you are so overwhelmed and excited about getting the job, but you're not paying attention to, okay, I'm going to be paid $7 and some change every hour, 40 hours a week. Is that going to be enough to cover my bills while I'm in training? Because you're going to be away from home. If you live in Atlanta, you're going to be driving there. You're going to be buying fuel. So that's all part of an expense. If you're going to be living in the hotel, you're going to have to feed. Because some hotels do give you breakfast, but not all of them do. And you don't choose the hotel you're going to be at. At least during my time, I didn't. So you have to consider all these things. How am I going to buy stuff for training? Maybe I was fortunate. I worked in a bank, so I had white shirts. I had suits, business suits and attire. So I didn't have to buy those things. I had to buy extra white shirt, but not all the other stuff because I already had the clothing for that. But what if you don't? And you have to buy all those things. That's money. White shirts are like $20 for, that's the cheap side. 20, 30 right now. So they're not cheap. So you have to think all these things through. You get your CJO, you're excited. But the reality is there's a huge expense coming. And the worst of it all is that you can be sent home while you're in training. There were people that were sent home 5th week, 4th week, 3rd week, whatever. So there's no guarantee until you graduate and you're on the line. So knowing all this, what makes you think it's okay for you to start this journey without having any savings? What if you start training and you see all these videos of plane crashes and accidents happening, people having to evacuate, or how intensive the training is? It scares you and you need to quit. You have to find another job. But in the meantime of you quitting and find another job, what money do you have as your nest or your cushion? So think about that as you watch this live, y'all. Think about that. So this comment actually was from Estella, and one of the comment, it was essentially, she wanted to know if my airline paid us for hotel layovers. So for that question, yes. When you're on your layover, the airline pays you, but it's a per diem. It's not your hourly. So let's say I'm going, let me use an international trip as an example. I'm flying to Amsterdam, for example, right? So my flight to Amsterdam from Seattle is 9.5 hours. During that 9.5 hours on the plane, when the plane is in the air and we're flying 9.5 hours, I'm getting paid by $33.81 for those hours. Once the plane lands and I'm in Amsterdam, during that period, so from the time that I sign in, I'm getting paid a per diem. A per diem, it's like, I explained this to my flight attendant pay. It's not your hourly pay. It's like some change. It's like $2 or so, $2 and some change if it's international, or in this case, a place like Amsterdam, your per diem was like $3 or something like that. It's literally it's less than $5. Let's put it that way. It's below $5. So that's the per diem. So while you're on your layover, so once the plane lands in Amsterdam, all that time. So our layover for Amsterdam is like 24 hours. So for that 24 hours that I'm spending in Amsterdam, or that once the plane landed, I got everybody off the plane and we got off the plane and we got to the Amsterdam airport and everything, you're getting paid your per diem. So you are in your hotel. This is why people would say you're getting paid to travel, or you're in your layover and you're still getting paid, because you're getting paid that per diem. But you're not getting paid your hourly pay, which is a $33.81. That's your flight pay. But I have this all explained in the playlist in the description box about flight attendant pay. So you do get paid when you're on your layover. And depending on which country you're in, that $2 per hour or $3 per hour might not be bad. Like in Ghana, for example, our cost of living is cheaper. So $1, $1, it's like about 12 Ghana cities or 11 Ghana cities, like the currency over there. And that 12 cities can buy you probably breakfast or something. I mean, I won't say breakfast because things are getting expensive there, but compared to here, it's like having $12 here that can buy you like a meal from Burger King or something, you know? But the point is that depending on which country you're in, that per diem might not be bad at all, but it's not given to you like in the moment while you're working the trip. It's added onto the total income you make from that entire trip. So if you do the math backwards, then you would know that, okay, I'm getting this per diem, which is like $2 an hour. I'm here for 24 hours. What is 24? So 24 by, let's say it's about $3 in this case, it's going to be about $72. So essentially for my trip from Seattle to Amsterdam, my layover pay during that 24-hour layover that I have, I'm making $72, right? If the per diem is $3. I'm not sure. I think it's 3 and some change if it's international. But that's what that is. So in Ghana, sorry, if you were in a crop and your layover is 24 and your per diem is $72, technically, based on the food, if you go out to eat and drink, that $72 would be a good amount, right? But imagine if you're somewhere where the cost of living is high, then that $72 is really not that much money, because it's not enough to even pay for your feeding while you're in this layover. So you do get paid, and sometimes it's worth it. And honestly, because of the way they pay it out as part of your entire rotation, it kind of adds on to the total amount you make per trip, which is why whenever I talk about our flight attendant pay, I always say that consider that there are additional pay, and this per diem or this layover pay is part of it as well. The other question that they had was that crash pads, I think they got confused with crash pads and hotel stays or layovers. I think they thought that in the video when I was talking about crash pads and hotels, maybe they thought that our layovers were at crash pads. So no, all our layovers are at hotels. A crash pad is a different situation when it comes to layovers. So Your layover while you're working a trip has to do with the fact that you're flying somewhere, though you're laying over there, so the company is paying for where you lay over. So that's in a hotel. All my layovers have been at hotels. A crash pad is for somebody, a flight attendant who commutes, so somebody who flies to work. So, and a commuter would essentially be, let's say you live in California and you're based in Seattle, Washington State. You have to commute to work. So you have to fly into your base, which is Seattle, and then fly from there to wherever it is that you're working to. So if I lived in Cali and I commuted to Seattle, it means that before the start of my trip or my work, I have to be in Seattle. So I would have to fly to Seattle. And because of how flights are these days, you can't necessarily be dependent on the fact that, oh, I'm just going to fly. I'm just going to fly. Sorry, y'all, my throat. I'm just going to fly to, let's say, Seattle and be there an hour before my trip or my work start. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you have to give yourself time. And in giving yourself time, it means that you probably would have to fly in early. So then when you're in, maybe your flight, your work or your trip starts at 7:00 a.m. today, and you're coming from California, you probably have to be in Seattle the day before today, which would have been yesterday. So you will need a place to stay in the meantime, or even after your trip. Maybe you won't be able to fly right back to California. So you're going to need a place to stay before you go home or whatever. That is where crash pads come in. It's just a form of residence that are for flight attendants and pilots, where you're able to stay at a very low cost. It's like a boarding house. That's the best way to put it. It has a boarding house feel because it's like a house with rooms, and there are multiple people in a room. So you might have like 10 to 9 people in one room, if not more, with like bunk beds or whatever. There are different types, but that's what a crash pad gives. It gives more like a boarding house kind of feel, or boarding school kind of feel, but you have like multiple people in a room sharing the space. The good thing is that even though there are multiple people sharing the space, they're all not living there at the same time. They come and go because they're not staying there. It's more like a rest stop for them while they work, and then at certain point they take long breaks and they go back home. So that's what crash pads are. And our layovers while we're working are not in crash pads; they're in hotels. The other thing also is that their question was, do flight attendants make more money if they're bilingual? Yes. So you do get an additional pay on top of your hourly pay if you are bilingual. So it depends. It's not dependent on the language, but if you're bilingual, because we have people Korean, we have Japanese, we have French, and then we have, I think, Spanish as well. So we have several, and I think we have German, Dutch as well. Yeah, I think we do. So we have several. And that's another thing. When you're applying for the flight attendant position, when you see the job posting, check to see what the position is for. Because sometimes it might be for language. If it's for language and you don't speak that language and you apply, that's an automatic disqualification. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to that. But yes, you do get an additional few dollars. I'm not sure, but it's like the per diem. It's like $2-3 extra or something like that. So if your hourly pay as a new flight attendant right now is $33.81, if you're bilingual, your additional pay would be, your hourly pay would be different because you will be paying that additional $2 or $3. So essentially your hourly pay would become about $35.36 instead of the $33.81 plus your additional pay. So you do get paid a little bit more. And also they asked how many hours per day are you allowed to work? So we have duty periods, right? Duty periods has to do with how many hours you're on duty, like you sign from your sign in to when you're released, right? And in a day for us is 15 hours in a minute. So anything above that, you can say, no, I'm not doing this work. No, I'm out. You can opt out. Okay. You can say, no, I'm done. It's over. But typically our trips are built such that they don't exceed that duty period of the 15 hours in a minute. So in terms of how many hours you can work, with the way this job is, immediately you sign in, you're literally on duty. However, the actual flight time is when you're like in the plane, you're serving or you're boarding, like you're in your jump seat or whatever, and you're actually doing the job itself. But mind you, that flight time does not include boarding. When you're boarding, you're working, even though you're not getting paid your hourly pay of the $33.81. Some companies don't pay anything at all during boarding. Okay, so we get paid a premium, but it's still not your hourly pay, which is the 33.81, which doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, it's a battle for another day. So while you're boarding, that's why if you find flight attendants that are not like, ultimately, I know this has become a discussion on social media right now, or it's becoming, or it is, when it comes to passengers and their luggage and stuff like that, right? Our primary job is not to put your luggage in that bin for you. Honestly, when you're walking through that airport, they tell you, do not leave your bag with anybody. You're solely responsible for your bag. Like, it is your responsibility. Whatever luggage you bring to that airport, it is your responsibility. Our job is to get your luggage to your final destination, whether it's in cargo or whether it's in the overhead bin above you. So during boarding, we're not getting paid. If you get injured for that reason, when you're on OJI, like when you're injured on the job, it doesn't pay, because remember, our job is different. It's not like a typical 9 to 5 where your 40 hours is guaranteed every week, or 160 hours is guaranteed every 2 weeks. So if you get injured on the work and you're getting 60%, so essentially you're getting 60, 70, 80, I don't know what the percentage is, of 160 hours. Our job is not like that. So if somebody gets hurt carrying your bag or whatever, potentially whatever income they're going to make, it's not going to be enough to sustain them. That's why it's not on us, or it's not expected for us to help people put their luggage up in that bin. And think about it, y'all. We work flights with 100 people on that plane all the time. Imagine if you had to put everybody's bag in that bin. That's just insane. And the main reason why you're there is for emergency reason, but then your shoulder's twisted because you were trying to put up somebody's luggage that they overpacked into an overhead bin. So it's not realistic. I'm there to help you in case of a medical emergency. I'm here to help you if there's an evacuation that needs to happen. But there's just this misplaced priorities and stuff like that. And honestly, for me, if your bag is too heavy for you, then it's definitely going to be too heavy for me. So we're going to check it in. The guarantee that is offered is that we're going to get your luggage to the final destination for you. And wherever that the bag goes, as long as it's on the aircraft and it goes to your final destination, that is a guarantee. Like the fine print, that's the guarantee right there. So whether it's in the overhead bin or it's in cargo, it gets to your final destination. That's the guarantee right there. But with that being said, during boarding, we're not getting paid our hourly pay. So, but then you're still on duty from the time you sign in. So in terms of the actual hours that you can work in a day, it's not solely dependent on the flights that you work during that day. So keep that in mind. All right. So BB on the Rock says, what about health insurance or benefits in your case? Yes. So we do get health insurance. We do get benefits. So our benefits, you get medical, you get dental, you get vision. And then they do have additional programs for like maternity. Let's say if you're trying to have a baby. And then also what you call it? What is this thing called? Oh, I forgot. Like the savings program that I mentioned earlier as well, to set you up and stuff like that, where when you do participate, at least with my airline, you get like $1,000 and stuff like that. So that's also an option. One thing I will say is when you do decide to work with an airline company, take advantage of any benefits that you're receiving, because whatever benefits they are giving you, it is part of your compensation package. If for whatever reason, there needs to be a sit down conversation on increasing our pay or whatever, mind you, your flight benefits, your medical bonuses, the profit sharing we've been receiving, anything that compensates you or is given to you, they put a monetary value to it. And it's part of your compensation. So let's say based on the hourly pay of $33.81, I'm projected to earn about $40,000 a year from being a first-year flight attendant. The $40,000 is a monetary like the actual hourly money, the work, the flights and trips and stuff like that I'm making. That's the money. They would put a monetary value on your flight benefits as well. They will put a monetary value on your medical and your health benefits, insurance benefits as well. There's a monetary value because whenever you get your insurance through your company, they subsidize it for you. So the premium you're paying every paycheck is way less compared to if you went out and got it on your own. So there's a monetary value attached. So even though you're probably making 40, like I did my video, 10 months in or whatever, or 9 months in, I had already made $40,000. the value that, or whatever me being in the company is costing the company, would probably be sitting about 60,000, if not more. So always think about your compensation package that way. And then take note that you have to use them. So the flight benefits, if there's insurance, take advantage of it and then use them. Go for your annual physical examination, do all those things. So it's very, very important to take care of yourself, because you're exposed to so many people, and the air on the airplanes are recycled air. Is recycled air. So whatever people are coughing into, I'm not trying to be nasty or disgusting, but that's the reality. The air is recycled air. So whatever is going on that aircraft, you're literally breathing in the same recycled air. So you have to make sure you're staying on top of your vitamins and you're taking care of yourself. Once again, as you're making your way into the live, if you have any questions, please drop in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well. Give the video a thumbs up and share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below, okay? All right, so I did start, if you're just coming in, I was talking about flight attendant training and preparing and saving money for it. If you just came into the live, just go back, rewind, go back, and then watch from the beginning, y'all. But that's what we've been talking about, alongside some few questions that people may have posted on my channel as well. I was away, so if you're wondering where I was, I fell ill. That's why I took a break for a while. But yeah. I think that's about it so far. That's about it so far, y'all. So yeah, make sure you have money saved up, because it will come in handy, y'all. It will come in handy. Who's going for training right now? When I believe, I mean, I saw information with regards to training date being assigned and everything, but who's currently going for flight attendant training? Let me know in the comment section below as well. Let me know. I'm just trying to see if there are any questions that people may have had that I missed and I would like to respond to in this video. Okay, so this person actually left a comment. Let me see. So their point was that, why does it seem like every flight attendant on YouTube hates actually flying? Why are you working one flight a month? And for me, my point is, it's because you can. Like, if you have a job that offers you flexibility to be able to work whenever you can, and you don't want to work, then you just don't work. It doesn't necessarily mean that you hate the job. It just means that you have some level of flexibility that allows you to not have to work so much. So I guess that's where that comes in. But they probably thought that we hate the job because we don't like flying. It's because we're not required to fly so much. Like when schedules were released recently, I only got my reserve day of 6 days of reserve. And then I got 2 one-day trips. That was all I got. So the rest of the month was literally empty, y'all. So it's one of those things where if I want to work more, then I can work more. But you don't have to. Obviously, you need to work a certain number of hours every month or in a year to keep your benefits, like your insurance benefits, your flight benefits, and everything. However, once you hit that minimum quota, that's it. And the minimum quota for every month. So the minimum hours in order to hit your total number of hours for the year to keep your benefits, it's like 45 hours. That's the minimum. So if I'm only required 45 hours of work every month, or a total of 540 hours a year to keep my benefits, and I can afford to do it, why wouldn't I? Especially if you already have somebody, your household expenses and everything is covered for. Like, that's a flex of the job, actually. That's literally the flex of the job. That's like the flex of the job, being able to just work 45 hours a month or 540 hours a year to keep my flight benefits and my insurance or whatever, and then being able to live my best life. That's the flex of the job. It's not a hate situation. It's just a flex of the job. The other thing is, I have a comment here. Then Danielle says, me, you for what? Let me know me. She wants to know, how bad is reserve scheduled when you first start going to training next month? Yay! Congratulations. Oh my God. All the best at training. Trust me, it's going to be stressful. It will be stressful, but the content is not difficult. Just eat well, drink water, stay hydrated, and take care of yourself and get some sleep for sure. I'll make sure you're resting whenever you get the opportunity, and take it one one e-learning at a time. I won't say one day at a time because a lot happens in a day when you go for trading. So, but what I will say is one e-learning or one content at a time. Just take it easy. The videos might be a lot, but just woosah, take a breath in and just take it one day at a time. Take it easy on yourself. Don't stress yourself out. But yes, how is reserved? So if you're going for training or you're going to be working with the airline company that I work for, and if you've been on my channel, you kind of by this time know who I work for, but I'm not here to represent anybody. It's just my opinion. But if you're going with the airline that I work for, we get reserved 6 days every month until you get to the seniority level where you don't get assigned reserve anymore. So my airline does not work in a way where you're on reserve for like a year, 6 months, 8 months, nonstop or whatever. It's based on operational needs or whatever. So it's, when I say operational needs, what I mean is that let's say I'm a year in and I'm off reserve, right? And I'm no longer getting the 6 days. So for us, okay, rewind. Let me start over. So with us, once you start working with my airline and you graduate, you hold a line. You hold a line, and with you holding the line, you get reserved 6 days as well because you're junior. And operational needs comes in the sense that maybe after a year, you're no longer getting the reserve. So the reserve can be 3 days, 6 days, or more, depending on what operational needs it. But right now, with where the system or the company is sitting, we're getting 6 days. Some people get only 3 days because they're senior enough to not get 6, but they're junior enough to get 3. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. So they're senior enough where they're not getting all the 6, but they're also, no, the 3 have to do with a different group of people. I don't know. Forget that. The point I'm trying to make, now I'm going back into policies. The point I'm trying to make is that you get 6 days, right? You get 6 days when you're new. And if you get to seniority level where you don't get it again, it goes away. But in addition to the 6 days, you still get assigned trips. You can still pick up trips, like you still get assigned trips. Let's say you ask for like 90 hours in a year. You're bidding for your schedule and you're like, hey, for this month scheduling, please give me 90 hours. If you can hold enough trips to give you that 90 hours, you would get that 90 hours, including 6 days of reserve. So you get extra trips in addition to the 6 days of reserve. So that's how that works. In my base, for example, now is getting to the point where after a year, people are holding the line. However, during summer, that might change because during summer, operational needs shoots up. So the requirement for reserve might go up as well. Right now, because operational needs are very low and very steady, the need for people on reserve is minimal. So now a lot of people are getting off of reserve early. Like my base, it used to be 6 to 8 years or whatever, but now a year and a half, a year, people are off of reserve. So it's highly based on operational need and how staffed you are as well, and what the projections would show. Because there are people now that are off of reserve only a year in that potentially might end up getting reserve in the summer because of operational needs. However, with us, when we say get in reserve, it doesn't mean that your entire month is reserved. No, it's just 6 days out of the month and that's it. Whereas with other airlines, it's like the entire month would mean, because you do need to get days off. So it would be about like 19 days or 16 days or 14 or whatever the days are. But ours is just 6 days in a month. And that's it. And you can swap with other flight attendants too. So if I get my 6 days and I get 2 sets of 3 days, I can swap with somebody. I can give my reserve to somebody and take their trip. Or I can swap my reserve from a different day to another day. So it's not bad. It's not like other airlines where immediately you're out of training. You don't even have trips assigned. You're straight reserve. You're just on call the whole time, or the whatever, how many days that they give you. But I won't say it's bad in the sense that those also come with their own guarantees. So typically when you're on it, the pay might not be good because it takes up a lot more days and you're not getting a lot of money. But I would say when you're trying to become a flight attendant, do your research, because one benefit for me to you might not be a benefit. It would rather be a disadvantage. So just because I'm with this airline and I say that this is a benefit that I get, assess it critically before you make the decision to consider to be with them, because it might not be a benefit to you. All right. What other questions do we have here? All right. Oh, I miss you all so much, y'all. Like, it's been a long time. It's been a while, but I'm glad I am back. And I see that you guys really enjoy the videos and the content that I do provide. I'm here to give you all the information, y'all, because I know it's not easy out there in these streets. So I do try to come in and provide as much information as possible. If you do have any questions, please let me know. Please let me know. All right, to summarize everything, please make sure you're saving money. Please make sure you're saving money before you go for training. Do not, I repeat, do not quit your job once you get an invitation for the virtual interview. Do not quit your job if you get an invitation for the in-person interview. Do not quit your job, even if you get your CJO. Don't put in your 2 weeks notice. Nope, nope, nope. Wait until the background check is cleared. Wait until you get a training day assigned. And even with that, when you get that training day assignment, don't quit your job yet. Make sure your 2 weeks notice is based on that training date assigned. That's what you should focus on. All right. Any more questions before I proceed to hop off out of here? I've been on, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. It's been a while. But yes, let me know any final thoughts, any final questions that we have before I jump out. Once again, like I said, I'm back now, so I'm going to try and keep the content flowing. If you all do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am on Instagram, and it is my next location _ so please find me there. Also on TikTok, so please check me out there. If we have any final thoughts or any final questions, let me double check here. Congratulations on Danielle on your training though. Have fun, have fun, have fun. Reserve is not as bad. It's really not as bad. I'm not even sure if I answered that part, but you do get 6 days, but it's not as bad. And even whether you get used or not, you do have guaranteed pay for that period. Some people will say, well, you're getting paid and you're not getting used, so it's good, but it's like $900, $980 or $960 for the 6 days that you have guaranteed payout. So out of the entire month, right? You get 6 days of reserve, which is worth about $960, I believe. So whether you pick up a trip, you get assigned a trip or not, you're at least going to get $960 for that month, which after taxes will come to whatever it is that it would come to. So that's guaranteed money. That's how some people are able to just, especially if you have somebody covering your household expenses, it's good. It's like after taxes, whatever it comes to, let's say it comes to $800. That's $800 in the month of you. If you don't get used or you don't get assigned any trip while you're on reserve, then it's like you're getting paid to just stay at home the entire month, essentially. So it kind of works out depending on how you look at it, but it's not bad. Danielle said, thank you for doing this live. Love your videos. Thank you so much for coming through. I know it's impromptu, and I just like to come on here and just chat with you all because I know going through this process is not easy at all. And I try to come in to just answer questions whenever I can, just to ease your way into the process. But I appreciate everybody for coming through. I do appreciate you all. Thank you. And I will see you all when I see you. Please keep an eye out though. I will be recording a video for my schedule reaction from March and changes that I've made so far and the kind of things that I'm planning on doing in March with regards to my schedule. So I will talk about bidding as well as a new flight attendant. So please check out those videos. I do have a full playlist on my schedule reaction as well with the link in the description box. So if you're a new flight attendant or you're considering becoming a flight attendant, check out that playlist because I do share. I try to give a better understanding of how the scheduling system works in the flight attendant world because it's not your typical 9 to 5. It's never fixed. It changes. It literally changes every month. So please keep an eye out for that. The other thing that I also have a playlist of is our flight attendant pay. I know when it comes to the money, as I've said in all my content, you can be extremely living off really good as a flight attendant and you can be struggling. And typically the struggle starts in the first year. Once you get past your first year, it gets better. And even with me, even though I set myself up for success, it's just that the reason why they say the struggle is harder the first year is because I can work a trip, right? And make about $980, almost $1,000 from that trip. Another senior person who's been there for 12 years or more can work the same trip, same position, same responsibilities as me, and make almost $2,000 on that same trip. So that's the difference. That's how huge the difference is and why people say that when you're new, it's harder. Because think about it. I'm making only $1,000 from this trip. This person has been here 12 years or more. They're making, because you cap out at 12 years. That's why I say 12 years, because 12 years right now is like $76 an hour or so. or 76, I can't remember. So if they're making almost $2,000 from the same trip, think about it. It's better, obviously, because it's double whatever it is you're making now. But your standard of living, cost of living is the same for both of you. So you're both living in the same era, same time, and you're working the same job, same trip. They're making $2,000 for the same thing that you're doing to make about $1,000 for almost 1,000 for it. So that's where the differences comes in terms of how good it can be for you the longer you stay. But that's why they also say that after a year, it kind of gets good because you kind of balance, you kind of have control over your schedule, you kind of know what to bid for, how to be strategic in terms of how you're bidding for trips, how much you can maximize your earning, and then your pay also goes up as well. So that's the good thing. But I do have a full playlist in the description box where I talk about flight attendant pay in details. I talk about the most important things. So please check it out. It's my flight attendant pay playlist. And then I also have a flight attendant playlist on training as well. So I documented from week 1 to week 6. So right from when I started the first week, everything that I went through, to week 2, to week 3, 4, 6, and after I graduated as well. So please check those out if you haven't already. Before I go, I think Rich just came in. Rich Film says, I'm in tech and you helped me with an idea that I've been working on. Oh, really? Okay. I'm glad I'm dropping some gems here. That's really nice. We could use all the technology we need, because I tell you, Rich, sometimes some of the platforms that are currently being used to access some of the things that we use for work or even to access our things is so archaic that I'm like, this is from like Windows 1998. But I do get it. Most of the time, the Windows or the systems or the IT related tools and systems that we had in the past had a higher sense of security, in the sense that it was not as easily broken or hacked into like currently now. So the more flexible technology gets, the easier it gets for people to be able to hack and create loopholes and stuff like that. So I do get it. But sometimes these systems are archaic. So we need all the input we can get from you, Rich. So yeah, definitely come up with the idea and sell it. But once again, thanks for coming through, y'all. I appreciate you all. I will be signing out pretty soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you do come across this live, give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you all. Bye-bye.